I got a collection letter in the mail. What am I gonna do? You heard me right. I got a collection letter in the mail from a debt collector. It's right here. It's pretty crazy. And it's possibly the worst thing that a debt collector would ever have to do with is deal with me. So on today's episode, I'm gonna walk you through the entire process on how to deal with an actual collection company or a debt collector. Because a lot of people don't cover this. They really give you a bunch of fake information, fill it up with a bunch of fluff, and it gets you nowhere. But on today's video, I'm gonna give you 100% clarity and walk you through the process as I actually handle this for my wife. Now, it actually wasn't for me, it was for my wife, which is pretty wild, which pretty much means it's for me also. And the funnier part about this is the way my wife told me that she actually got a debt collector letter. She wasn't gonna tell me, she just laid it on the counter, nice and neatly, nothing around it. I walked by, I was like, what is that? And I picked it up, I was like, no, why is there a collection letter in my house? So then I looked at it and I said, what is this? How do we owe this money to Duke Energy? This makes no sense. Well, what happened was we actually transferred our power to my name because we got solar panels and everything had to be in my name. It was a big fiasco. So then apparently when I switched it over, there was some money that was still due. It was $249 that was past due, but they never sent my wife an actual letter saying that, hey, you owe this money. Hey, this is due. My wife just assumed that it all transferred over to me, but no, what they did is they started the billing, a whole new billing cycle in my name, and then they just let that one fall to the wayside. And she never received any type of notification letting her know that she still owed this $249. But what they did is they sent it to a collection company. So the hoe-ass debt collection company is called Helvey and Associates. So Helvey and Associates got a bad day coming their way because I know how to handle a collection, and it's very important to understand that this first initial letter is the most important letter that you ever get. But everyone's always like, who cares? I'm not gonna pay it. But guess what? If you pay the original creditor, because let's be honest, you owe them the money, as I'll admit, we owe Duke Power the money. I mean, it's pretty obvious. So that's why they sent a collection company after us, even though they never sent us a letter to collect the actual amount. They just sent it to collections, but we owe the money. So I had my wife pick up the phone and call Duke Power, and Duke Power said, oh, well, I'm sorry, your account's closed, but we can still take payment. So while we were on the phone with Duke Power, she actually text messaged my wife a link to pay for it. So I got on the phone while she was on there, I actually clicked on the link and paid for the bill that was past due with Duke Power. So now guess what? There's no money due to the debt collection company, but the debt collectors are not going to tell you that they still cannot collect on it and they cannot report on it. And listen, this is the most important part that everyone skips on social media. They don't tell you that you can get rid of these debt collectors by just paying the original creditor. Pay the original creditor and be done, and it will not hit your credit report. But you have 30 days to respond to this letter right here to tell them that you do not owe them the money, or you're gonna say, I don't know who you are. You have a 30-day debt validation window that you can send. But if you know you owe the money, why would you send them a debt validation letter? That's really pointless. If you ask me, like, I wouldn't waste my time. I would just go ahead and pay the original creditor and then I'm done. So we did just that. We paid the original creditor and now we're done. The debt collector has nothing to actually collect. So now this video's over. Wait. I'm just kidding. It's not. So we have to make sure that we cross our T's and dot our I's because we want to make sure that this hoe-ass debt collector knows that we're not playing it and we're going to respond to the collection letter. Now I have screenshots and I have receipts that I actually paid for it, but I'm not going to send that to the debt collector. I typed up a pretty little letter that I'm going to send to them, and I'm going to send it certified mail so I have proof that I sent it, and they're going to send me a little receipt. I'm also going to do with a return receipt. So they're going to have to actually sign it showing me that they received the letter. Now let's put it up on the screen here so you can see it. So we're gonna fill out the envelope and we're actually gonna fill out this little green slip right here. And we're also gonna fill out the return receipt slip at the actual post office. And then we're gonna send it certified mail. This letter is probably gonna cost right underneath $10. It's not cheap, okay? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send it and I'm gonna wait 30 days. They're gonna have 30 days to respond. And I'm gonna tell you something else that I found out about this debt collector. It's possibly the worst day to ever find out about me, Mike the credit guy, because I went digging to see if this debt collector collector was actually registered in the state of North Carolina. Now, every state is going to be different. As another example, in the state of California, they must have an actual registration for their debt collection company and a surety bond of a minimum of $10,000. If they are not registered in the state of California and you got a collection letter in California, guess what? They're violating the FDCPA per that state. In the state of North Carolina, there's an actual law like that also. They must be registered in the debt collectors database. Even if they're a business that is outside of the state of North Carolina, they could be deemed a foreign entity and they still have to register in the state of North Carolina as a debt collector, and they must also have a $10,000 surety bond. If they do not, they are violating the Debt Collectors Practices Act of North Carolina. And now I got them. So good old Helvey and Associates is not registered in the North Carolina Debt Collectors database. Would you imagine that? They would never imagine that I would find that out. All you gotta do is a simple Google search to find this out, and they're not in there. I wanna give a special shout out to all my beasters out there that are working hard to fix their credit using Dispute Beast, the most advanced AI credit repair software ever created, and specifically to Wesley, Wesley's credit score went up over 226 points after just 2 rounds with Dispute Beast, and also Marcus's credit score went up 337 points after just 2 rounds with Dispute Beast. And let's not forget Richard's credit score went up 446 points after just 1 round with Dispute Beast. Dispute Beast is going to be pinned at the very top of the comments and in the video description for anybody that needs to fix their credit. Last part's the most important. Now let me show you the letter that I actually typed up. Now be aware, you can use this letter, but remember, you only have a 30-day window to respond when you get a collection letter. When you're outside of that 30-day, it doesn't matter. You don't need to send validation letters. At that point, all you have to do is dispute, because validation means nothing once it's out of the 30-day window. And whenever you type up any type of letter that's going to the credit reporting agencies, the debt collectors, or the creditors, you need to make sure that it sounds like it's coming from a human and not some template. This is 100% written by me and only me, and they can tell that it's actually coming from a human and not like a credit repair company or some bootleg person on social media. Who knows? But it's coming from me, the actual person. Now understand this also. If you are married, you can actually respond to a collection on behalf of your significant other. So I can write this as myself and put my wife's account number on there and tell them that I'm responding on behalf of my wife, and they have to respond to me by law per the FDCPA. A lot of collection companies don't know that. So let's put this letter up on the screen so you can see it. I blurred out all my personal information, the collection company, all that good stuff. So you can see Michael Mesa, my name. To whom it may concern, attention hoe-ass debt collector. That's you, okay? And then I put, my wife does not owe your bootleg hoe-ass anything, nor does she owe Duke Power anything for account number ending and blah, 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 blah. You are illegally trying to collect a debt that does not exist. I also noticed you are not registered in the state of North Carolina Debt Collectors database, and even as a foreign entity, you must be registered in the North Carolina Debt Collectors database. Your company must also carry a surety bond of a minimum of 10,000 USDA to legally do any type of debt collections in the state of North Carolina. Now remember, as a collection company, they cannot share your information with any other third party. So it can go from the original creditor to the collection company, and then it stops right there. Nobody else is allowed to see your information or read your information. And this is where I got them also, because at the very bottom of this letter, there is a little barcode right there. That little barcode tells me that they hired an outside company to print these letters. That's a direct violation of the FDCPA also. So in the letter it states, I also noticed that there's a barcode at the bottom of this bootleg letter you sent my wife, and that means you used a third party to print and mail this letter. That right there is what we call a violation of the FDCPA. You are not allowed to share my wife's information with any other parties, and it appears as if you have clearly done so, and you are in complete violation of FDCPA 1692CB. Your lawsuit will be based on attempting to illegally collect a debt that does not exist, not being a registered debt collection company per North Carolina, and harassment to my wife and I, and a violation of the FDCPA 1692CB. If payment is not remitted, you will face treble damages and attorney fees. Treble damages means 3 times the damages. And then I put, sincerely, the litigious guy who don't play, Michael Mesa. And I put PS, you can read the rest right there. I put a little special touch in there for the debt collector to know I'm not playing. Now pay attention attention, we did not pay the hoe as debt collectors. We paid the original creditors. But here's the thing, you still need to respond to them because they can actually think that you're not actually responding and then they'll put it on your credit report. So you have to send them some type of response letting them know like, hey, I don't owe this money. I don't owe you or Duke Power. You're illegally trying to collect this debt. Because if you don't respond, then after that 30-day window has passed, they will put it on your credit reports. And then it's even harder to get off the credit report. Now, some debt collection companies will negotiate a pay for delete. Now, what does that mean? You can negotiate that you'll pay the actual collection company and then they will delete it from your credit report. But understand something. I want to be really clear on this. You need to get it in writing if you ever pay a collection company, and you need to get them to agree to delete it from your credit reports and stop all collection activities. A collection activity is when it's on your credit report, okay? So you have to be very, very clear on that. And if you negotiate a lower amount, they have to write in the letter, this debt is satisfied and paid in full, because they can sell that remaining debt to another debt collector, and then the debt collector will come after you again, the new debt collector. So it's a vicious cycle that doesn't end if you deal with the debt collector. But again, I'm gonna tell you, some debt collectors will offer pay for deletes and some of them will not. But always remember this, 100% of debt collectors lie 100% of the time. So now I'm gonna send off this letter, certified mail, and I'm gonna wait for the response of the hoe ass debt collector, and that's gonna be part 2. So I hope you enjoyed this video. We covered another big one on how to deal with a collection letter the right way. Now, make sure that you watch this next video because it is about how to delete charge-offs from your credit reports. And if you feel that it brought you some value in this video, make sure that you don't forget and subscribe to increase your credit score.